Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 1478.
If you think you can do it, then you can. You will find a way to make it happen, but just never give up.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. I am revved up and so excited to share with you today a very special guest, Katherine Legge. Katherine Legge is a British race car driver who runs with the new GEAR Racing Lamborghini for the 2020 season, alongside co-driver Christina Nielsen, who's been a guest here on Cars Yeah, to form the series-only all-female driver lineup. How cool is that? They will be joined by Swiss Rachel Frey for all IMSA Michelin Endurance Cup events and Colombians Tatiana Calderon for the Rolex 24 at Daytona. Katherine's career highlights include the 2018 WeatherTech Championship GTD runner-up, 4 career IMSA Premier Series victories, competing in 4 NASCAR Xfinity Series races in 2018, competing in 11 IndyCar Series races, including 2 Indianapolis 500s, and she was a full-time Champ Car Series competitor in 2006 and 2007. Katherine was the first woman to win an Atlantic Championship race with her victory at Long Beach back in 2005. We'll be back in a moment to talk with Katherine, but first a word from our valuable sponsors who make Cars Yeah possible. Winter's here and things can get a little messy. Rain, snow, salt, mud, dirt, and everything Mother Nature comes up with can hurt the finishes of your vehicles, both inside and out. I'm not worried, though, because I've used Covercraft car covers on my rides since 1975. Today, Covercraft offers you a total solution to vehicle protection. They make the best-fitting, finest-made car covers in the world and offer a wide variety of materials, colors, and options that protect your paint and the interior, too. Live where it's sunny all the time? Lucky. Covercraft dash covers and sunscreens are the best. Got pets, messy kids, messy in-laws, or just messy friends? Covercraft seat covers are the perfect fit and the perfect solution for keeping your seats looking new. And don't forget their custom fit floor mats and trunk liners. They are a must-have for all your vehicles. Your cars, trucks, van, or whatever you drive will say thank you. And I've got a deal for you. During January 2020, you can get 10% off plus free shipping on all Covercraft products. That's right. Go to covercraft.com and use the code YEAH120. That's YEAH120 at checkout. That's covercraft.com and use the code YEAH120 at checkout. Hey, Cars Yeah race fans. Andy Collins, owner of Armadillo Racing, is a past guest here on Cars Yeah. Last year, I was honored to be a speaker at his high-performance racing seminar, and having attended, I can tell you it's an invaluable learning experience if you love to race. This year marks the 25th anniversary of Armadillo's high-performance racing seminars, and it takes place Saturday, February 8th in Tacoma, Washington. For your seminar fee, you'll spend a day with 4 of racing's premier professionals on how to improve your driving and much, much more. This year's outstanding speaker lineup include Jacques Delary, PhD, world-renowned high-performance driving and life coach, Jeff Braun, a race engineer with a history at Core Racing and IMSA, Ross Bentley, top driving coach, author of world-renowned Speed Secrets and a fellow podcaster, and Dan Davis, retired director of motorsports for Ford Motor Company. All of these incredible racing experts are past guests here on Cars Yeah. As an added bonus for Cars Yeah listeners, you'll get to join these speakers at the Friday night reception at the incredible LeMay Car Museum for free. That's right. It's a $50 value if you sign up by January 15th. What a deal. Go to Armadillo Racing's website and register. That's armadilloracing.com. Hey, Katherine, welcome to Cars Yeah. Are you buckled up and ready for a fun ride?
I'm always buckled up, Mark.
Yes, of course you are. Absolutely. So, Katherine, tell our listeners maybe just a little bit about yourself before we jump into the questions.
Oh, a little bit about me. My name's Katherine. I'm British. I live in America. I race cars for a living. I've been very fortunate to have one of the most diverse careers in motorsport. panning IndyCar and NASCAR and DTM and now sports cars as well, and all kinds of categories, prototypes and GT cars. I would say I'm a lucky lady, really.
Yes. Talented too. I don't know if there's a lot of luck here. I think it's a lot of talent crossed with opportunity and all the things that you've done in your career. It's incredible, the different cars you've driven. I think it's fantastic. And now being part of an all-female team, I think that makes it even more cool. I've had lots of women on the show here. I love having women on Cars Yeah, to show other women that there are lots of opportunities in the automotive world. Before I ask you the first question, though, tell our listeners maybe one little thing that most people don't know about you.
Oh, I get car sick. That's really interesting.
Oh, what?
Ever since I was a kid. Yeah, ever since I was a kid, I get motion sickness. So I'm okay if I'm driving, and I'm okay if I'm sat in the front of a car. But if I'm in the back, or if I'm on one of those rental car buses or something, then it's very unpleasant. Strange as a race car driver to be motion sick, but there you go.
I think that's interesting. My sister, when we go on road trips as a kid, would get car sick, but she would put herself to sleep. So we weren't even out of the driveway and she was out. I think that was her defense mechanism to alter motion sickness. And of course, this was back in the 60s and 70s. We'd go on these long road trips on our old Oldsmobile Vista Cruiser, and she'd be out the whole time. She'd never see anything. So poor thing. I don't think any of us knew she was not feeling well the whole time until much later in life. Well, listen, as we continue on this journey about your life, I would love for you to share a success quote or a mantra, some kind of saying that has meaning for you. It's a nice way to get the inspirational tires smoking here on Cars Yeah. So, Katherine, I know you love to drive, so grab the wheel. All
right. I would say never give up. I would say if you think you can do it, then you can. You will find a way to make it happen, but just never give up.
Yeah. You know, this is pretty much the answer I get from all race car drivers. It makes sense to me because you just can't give up racing. And we're going to be talking about a question in a few moments here about challenges. Racing is fraught with challenges. It's like one weekend you're a champion, the next weekend you're a chump. And if you have a thin skin, you just can't give up. So it makes sense for a race car driver. Tell us about this new season, though. This is 2020, new decade. I mean, all sorts of wonderful things happening for you and your team. So tell us what has you excited and fired up about driving GEAR Racing's Lamborghini and working with all these great women.
So, I've always been one of the very few females in racing. And we've always kind of done our own thing, and we tried to get along, being treated equally and behaving equally. It's been interesting to me because I always wanted to be seen as no different to the guys. And now we come along and we put this all-female team together, and in a way it's a statement that we're making, and it's a fine line that we're drawing, saying, hey, look at us, we're different, but actually we're not any different. And basically what we're trying, we're trying to say, we're not any different, but we're showcasing what we can do so we don't get treated any differently. And I think what we're trying to do is inspire the next generation to believe that, hey, if we can do it, then they can do it too. And, I was very fortunate. I had people like Vincent James, Michelle Mouton, Sarah Fisher, to look up to. And they were even more groundbreaking and pioneering than, we could ever be seen as, because it was even tougher back then. So I think, honestly, the last couple of years there's been some change or shift in the universe with regards to female opportunity in the racing world, and seems to have opened a lot of doors, and I'm getting more calls the last couple of years than they've ever got before. And so I think that it's tides are changing, and we need to make the most of that. And honestly, I did it. I went in, I was dubious about jumping on board with it, but I said, if we do it, we're going to do it properly, because I don't want it to be a gimmick. I want to be taken seriously. I've worked my whole career to be taken seriously. And so I said, we get the best female drivers that we can find, and we do it to win. We don't do it just to show up and say, hey, look at us. And so we did. We got some of the best female drivers in the world. I think we're a force to be reckoned with. We're very lucky. Actually, it was Christina, my full-time teammate, who had the connection to the Grata team at the beginning of the year, and she called me and she said, do you want to race a Lamborghini? And I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. CC.
So and I had just been introduced to the folks at GEAR, and I put those people together with Christina, and we got in touch with Lamborghini and the Grasser team, and everybody kind of gelled immediately. And we found a way to make it work. And now it's this huge project that we're all very proud of. We're all very invested in. And it's really exciting. Actually, I feel like rejuvenated. And for the first time in years, I feel very positive about our chances, about how, the team's just 110% behind us. Lamborghini are, GEAR is, as drivers, we all, get on so well. The locker room, if you like, is a really fun place to be. So I'm very happy. I couldn't be happier with it, honestly.
Well, I think it's fantastic. I have my guests broken down into categories, and having interviewed now 1,478 people with you, lots of people I've talked to, and I have a whole category just for women. And you mentioned Lynn St. James. We've become friends. We were working together on a couple of different projects through Tech Force and trying to get young people into the automotive industry. But also, I know she's passionate about helping women in the motorsports industry. Now, you've been racing for a long, long time. So in the last, let's say, 3-4 years, have you seen a big transition to where the fact that a woman's driving isn't as big a deal anymore? It's just a matter of being a good driver.
Yeah, absolutely. Back in the day when I first came over here, I came to the States because there's opportunities over here that there just weren't in the rest of the world for females in racing. Lynn St. James was one of the people who was actually giving us those opportunities. She ran a driving school, for a want of a better word, where she taught us how to find sponsors, how to act in front of the camera, all those things. And, from her own experience of driving IndyCars and things like that too. And since then, really, there was only two people who kind of made it, and that was Danica and myself in racing. And then since then, there's been an influx, and there's been a handful, like my teammates, for example. So it just goes to show that it is becoming less of a gimmick and more of the norm, which is what we strive towards. But it's also becoming more difficult because, we're not an anomaly anymore. We're just race car drivers now. So in a way, it's harder, and in a way, it's easier. It's bizarre. I'm sure at the end of the day, it's a lot easier now than it was because we have a lot more opportunities. But it's just very different. And I'm kind of really lucky to have seen that transition over the span of my career, honestly.
Yes. Yeah. Well, no doubt people like you, Lynn St. James, and many others are the pioneers that broke those barriers and are making it possible now. So I think it's fantastic. I love hearing the positive nature of how things are evolving and changing, and people are more open to things. Time has a way of allowing that to happen. I think it took way too long in the case of women in racing for my own personal taste, but I'm glad it's here. I'm glad people like you are here, and I wish you guys the absolute best. I would love for you to share a story that instigated this passion you have for racing and driving in cars. Is there a pivotal moment when you think back to probably way back to your childhood, when you knew that you wanted to be a race car driver?
No, not really.
No?
No, honestly, no. I was go-karting at the time. I really wanted to race. I nagged my dad for a long time to get a go-kart, but I never think there was a aha moment where I thought I could possibly be a race car driver, because it had never crossed my mind that it was even possible. Not that it hadn't crossed my mind that it wasn't possible either. So I just kind of kept trying, I guess, and didn't give up, as I said before, and here I am today. It wasn't like, yes, I wanted to be a race car driver with every part of my being, but I didn't. I don't know, it's difficult to explain. I never. It was more of an evolution. That's what I would be. Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, very cool. What's your favorite thing about racing?
So many things. It's hard to pick one. I love the competition. I love the competition with yourself, and the fact that you can always get better and you're always learning. I love the fact that it teaches you about life. I love the speed. I love the adrenaline. I love racing wheel to wheel and doing dangerous stuff. I mean, it's just, I couldn't pick just one thing. The friends that I've made along the way. I mean, there's so many things.
Yeah, a lot of facets to this sport. Let's take a look at some of the roads you've driven down. I know this is a huge question, but I love to ask my guests to share a particular success, well, actually not success, a challenge or a failure they faced along the way in your career. In the case of race car drivers, we'll pick one, right? Because, oh my gosh, it's a career that's fraught with ups and downs. But take us down one particular path that stands out. But the most important part of the story needs to be how you overcame that situation and what was the lesson learned.
I mean, this is tricky for me because I've been thinking about this. There's been so many instances, but because I've always kind of solved a problem and moved on, and it's never really been a big obstacle. I mean, I've had so many obstacles in my career, but my mindset's never been to focus on those. It's been to move past them and get to the next thing. So none of them have really stuck in my head. I mean, if I thought really hard about it, I could come up with a few instances of things that I've got around. But honestly, I think the takeaway from this is that you shouldn't see them as obstacles. That it's just, the path that you take, and they shouldn't be committed to memory, because you should be 100% focused on what you can do and what you're going to do next, not what's in your way at the moment.
Yeah, staying positive. What's the biggest challenge in racing these days? Is it what it's always been, and that's the money aspect because it's so expensive?
Yeah, I think the money aspect is probably the biggest. But, you either need to be well connected, lucky, or very rich yourself to be able to get started. But also then there's the battle in your own head. I mean, that's a good battle. You have to control your thinking in order to, it's a bit like golf, where there are loads of really good golf players, but it's the ones who have their heads screwed on straight that are the ones that excel. It's the same in racing. You could be a really good race car driver and just lose it in the head, or you could be really smart. It's a game of the brain as well.
Yeah, so much of self-sabotage comes into play when it comes to sports of all kinds. Jacques Dallaire, who's been a guest here on Cars Yeah a couple times, Performance Prime coach, talked about that at length and the importance of learning how to control your thoughts. It was a fascinating talk that I had with him, and he sent me a copy of his book. It's really brilliant, but it's funny how the mind can really sabotage so many things, and learning how to work through that is really important. What's one of the things, maybe, since I'm on this topic with you, one of the things that you do to help your mind stay focused?
That's an ongoing battle. I myself have seen Jacques and looked into the topic a few times and done research, because I'm aware that it's all in my head. I think, there are a lot of drivers that can be as good as anybody else, but as you said, self-sabotage or think too hard in the wrong direction, and it's all about controlling that. So I've been very lucky that I have people that pick me up on it if I get too far off that trail. And I just try and focus on the things that I know what to do and know how to think, and I have my strategies, and I just get on with it.
Well, surrounding yourself with great people, that is a key to success in life. I always say, I guess Mom was right. Pick your friends wisely. They'll help you get through life very well. Let's talk about a first really special vehicle in your life. Now, this could be a street car. Maybe it's the first car you got, or the first really special race car you buckled yourself into and you looked around the cockpit and said, oh my gosh, I've made it. This is where I wanted to be. What was that vehicle?
I thought about every single race car I've got in.
Well, that's why I say the first.
I think the Champ car. When I drove the Champ car for the first time, it was like, oh my goodness, how am I ever going to drive this thing? It's huge and so much power. And I didn't obviously vocalize any of that to anybody around me, but scared the living bejesus out of me. And, but also like, how cool is this? I get to drive. And I think that I thought that the first time I drove the Lambo in the Roar, I thought, how cool is this? I get to drive a Lamborghini as a job around a racetrack. I mean, come on, how many people would kill to be in my position? It does not go unnoticed how lucky I am. And I'm very grateful every day for this life that I lead. So I think that pretty much every car I get in, every race car, I'm like, this is cool. And even my road car, I'll sit in it and I'll be like, this is really cool. I'm really lucky. As far as 99% of the population, getting to drive vehicles like this is, shouldn't be taken lightly.
No. No, absolutely. Yeah, fantastic. Well, let me get into your head a little bit here, Katherine. If you woke up tomorrow and you were manifested as a vehicle, this could be a street car or a race car. Now, not what you want to be, but how you perceive yourself as a vehicle, your character, the kind of woman that you are. What kind of car would Katherine be and why?
Katherine would probably be a prototype. She breaks down a lot.
Okay.
I don't know.
You say that with a great laugh, too.
Yeah, no, I think temperamental.
No, not you.
And it's a good question. I can't say I would be any particular brand, you know. I think I'd probably be something that fires up and revs up quickly, and yeah, temperamental. So I'm a prototype.
Goes very fast. I like it. Well, I appreciate you letting me take you there. It's an interesting question. I get a lot of very interesting answers from that question. So I can see Katherine as a prototype race car. Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. We'll be back in a moment, but first a word from our valuable sponsors who make Cars Yeah possible. Edelbrock has been the name in automotive performance since 1938. Edelbrock designs and builds thousands of the finest automotive performance products right here in the USA for both street and track. From their AVS2 carburetors to V6 superchargers, if it's more power you crave, Edelbrock delivers. Let's talk superchargers. Whether it's an application-specific system or a universal fit, their precision-made assemblies come in multiple stages for a wide variety of makes and models. Their V6 superchargers are dyno-tested and ensure the perfect fit and maximum horsepower torque plus added boost. You get huge power gains. I mean huge power gains. Quality construction you can trust and backed by decades of knowledge. Edelbrock is a brand that provides you with proven performance. And I've got a deal for you. This January 2020, you can get 10% off if you use the code CARSYEAH at checkout. Just go to edelbrock.com and use CARSYEAH, all one word, at checkout and get 10% off. Tell them Mark at CARSYEAH sent you. That's edelbrock.com, checkout code CARSYEAH for your 10% off. My favorite collector car magazine is Keith Martin's Sports Car Market. I've been a subscriber for decades. Sports Car Market is the Wall Street Journal for the enthusiast and the collector. It's your monthly must-read whether you dream of owning a collector car, have 2 cars, or 200. Sports Car Market has been around for 31 years, and it's filled with valuable articles, intelligent write-ups, and the latest auction sales. Go to sportscarmarket.com and subscribe today. Plus, you'll get the exclusive SCM guide to restoration shops included for free. At checkout, use the code CARSYEAH and receive a 50% discount on your digital subscription. It's an exclusive offer from me here at Cars Yeah. I'm Mark Green, and I love Sports Car Market magazine. Are you looking for a way to get your products or services into the ears of thousands of automotive enthusiasts around the globe? I can help. This is Mark Green here at Cars Yeah. And I'd be honored to be an influencer and ambassador for your brand in a unique and personal way. 5 days a week, thousands of subscribers and listeners enjoy the Cars Yeah podcast and website. Contact me today and I'll show you how at mark@carsyeah.com or connect with me through the Cars Yeah website at carsyeah.com. You take care of your cars, but who takes care of your investments? Tune-ups aren't just for engines. Updating your financial plan is important too. Your GPS may take you from A to B, but it won't help you on the road to financial freedom. For that, you need a good co-pilot and a very trusted advisor. Chris Kimball, CFP, is just the man for the job. He'll guide you down that road without driving you crazy. For over 25 years, Chris has helped people just like you and me with their financial planning and investments. With a master's degree in financial services, he is eminently qualified, and he's a car guy too. Learn more at chrisvkimball.com or call 866-ON-A-PLAN. Securities through Money Concepts Capital Corp., member FINRA SIPC. CK Financial Services is not affiliated with Money Concepts Capital Corp. All right, we are entering the last lap. This is a place you've been many times. The white flag's out, checkered flag's in the distance. I'm going to fire off a series of questions and ask you to give our listeners some very quick blips of that prototype race car throttle. So here we go. What's one of your personal habits that you believe has contributed to your many successes on the track?
I think never giving up.
Yep. Persistence, tenacity, a little bit of a bulldog in there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I thought so. How about if I could wave a magic wand and arrange for you to have a drink or a meal with anyone in the automotive industry, living or deceased? Who would that person be?
Ayrton Senna, 100%.
Yeah. Why Senna?
Because he was my hero. He's the reason that I wanted to drive race cars. I grew up racing go-karts and therefore watching Formula One, wanting to be a Formula One driver. And I watched him and he was magical. So I wanted to be him, basically.
I'll tell you something, and my regular listeners know this, Katherine. I have a Senna quote on the back of my business card. He's one of my heroes, too, in the racing industry. Incredible person in so many ways. And that quote is this: "The past is just data. I only see the future." And I always loved that concept about him, that, yeah, the past is just information we gather to be better in the future, but I'm not looking in the rearview mirror. I'm looking down the track all the time. So you make me smile with that answer, Senna, the great Ayrton Senna. How about the best racing advice you've ever received from someone else that really helped? Oh, I got too many crikeys going on in this interview. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
The best advice I've had like that probably has to do with stop overthinking it and getting in your own head and trying too hard and just drive.
Yeah, don't overthink it. Yeah, just get in and drive. I love it. How about a resource? Is there a resource out there that's a go-to for you? Now, this could be a website, an app you use, something that you kind of find yourself going to on a regular basis.
I use a lot of apps, especially the mapping one. WhatsApp, probably, because that's how I communicate with people all over the world with regards to racing. You know, when you can't pick up the phone in a different time zone, you just shoot them a message on WhatsApp and it's free. Probably that.
Yeah, works great. Skype, in the case of our conversation today, is another one of the ways to use that. But yeah, WhatsApp is a great one. How about a book, Katherine? Is there a book that you've read that you think our listeners should open and read that you really enjoyed?
You know what? I read The Art of Racing in the Rain before it became a movie, and I bawled my eyes out. So I did not go and watch it as a movie because I know I'd be crying for weeks. So I love that. I don't know. I haven't read a book in years, if I'm honest.
Well, that's not a bad one to talk about. I'll tell you something. That's the most recommended book by guests here on the show. Garth Stein lives up here in the Pacific Northwest where I live. I've had him on the show, so you can go back and listen to my talk with Garth. He talks about that story. This was, when I had him on the show, was before the movie was even set up to happen. They'd been talking about it for a decade, but he said, I don't know if it's ever going to happen or not. Of course it has. I'll tell you this, Katherine, the movie, it's fine. It's great. I think it's fun, but nowhere near the book in the level of detail. Of course, they can't put it all in the book or in the movie as well. But yeah, it brings tears to anybody's eyes. I think if it doesn't make you cry, you got a problem. You need to evaluate yourself because it's great. I was listening to the audiobook working in the yard and had tears in my eye. My neighbor came over and goes, "Mark, what's wrong? Are you okay?" And I didn't realize she was standing there. And I said, "Oh, Enzo." But I'm not going to give any more than that away for those of you who have not read the book. So, The Art of Racing in the Rain. Great book by the great Garth Stein. You can find all these resources Katherine has shared on her very own Cars Yeah show notes page. Just go to carsyeah.com, type in Katherine Legge, Legge, and that page will pop right up. All right, Katherine, we're almost there. The checkered flag's out. You've seen plenty of checkered flags in your career. Today, I'm going to buy you a gift. A very cool collector car or vintage race car. Something kind of fun, something kind of old, something that you can take out and enjoy. But there's some rules to my game since I'm writing the check. Think of me as the sponsor today. I might have to set a few rules. One is you have to drive it. No garage queens. One is it's the only collector vehicle you can have. And last but not least, you can't sell it to fund your racing or anything else. You've got to keep this vehicle. So pick something you really love.
Going Mercedes from the 60s.
Okay. The 300 SL. Yeah. Everybody looks great in a 300 SL. You look fantastic in that car. Have you ever driven one?
I have not, no.
I think you'd be surprised for an old car like that, how well it drives. They're tanks. They're German, of course, but they drive like so much of a newer car than what they are. I've had the pleasure of driving both the Gullwing and the Roadster. I kind of like the Roadster a little better because the Gullwing can get a little hot. It's a little claustrophobic, but I'd happily buy you one of those. So I get you the right car, Katherine. What color would you like?
Ooh, good question. White, silver, or black, I think. I would go with classic car. I would go silver, actually. And I know that that's been overdone recently, but yeah, silver. Sorry.
Silver. Oh, that's okay. No problem. It's a lot easier to find a silver one than especially a white one. I've seen a black one. I don't think I've ever seen a white one. Come to think of it, I've seen a lot at car shows, but silver's a lot easier. So you made my job a little easier today. I'll get out the big checkbook though. Those cars are cheap. And I'll get to work and see if I can find you one of those. Katherine, you're welcome. You've taken me on a fun ride today. I know you would have, and this has been great. I've really appreciated you sharing your stories. Could you offer our listeners a little parting piece of wisdom or guidance before you drive off into the sunset in that Gullwing?
Sure. Don't drink and drive. Don't text and drive, actually, because most people are smart enough not to drink and drive, but a lot of people still text and drive, and it's really getting out of control. So don't text and drive, listeners, okay?
Please, yes. Put the phone away. Put it on Do Not Disturb. Tragic. We hear it every day. People texting and driving. Put your phone away, please. It's not worth it. People can wait for you. What's the best way for our listeners to follow you and your racing team?
Ooh, I would say either any of the social media channels, really. So you can go on IMSA's website. They can follow us on there, which is imsa.com. Or Twitter, it's Katherine Legge. Instagram, it's Katherine Racing. Facebook, it's Katherine Legge as well. So any of those ways. And IMSA and GearRacingTeam.com also.
Absolutely. I want to thank my friends at IMSA for connecting me with Katherine today. They've connected with me some great drivers, and I really appreciate that. I'll make sure I put links to all her social media so you can keep up with Katherine, and it's hard to keep up with her because she's fast. But you can follow along with her racing and the racing team. Do that this year. It's going to be a fantastic year with Katherine and her teammates. Wish you guys all the best success. Thanks for being so generous today with your time, your expertise, and for sharing your stories with me today. Until you and I talk again, Katherine, I'll see you down the road.
Thanks, Mark. See you down the road.
Absolutely. Best wishes this year for 2020 and your team. Go get them. Hey, Mark Green here from Cars Yeah. Did you know you can now see me on the Cars Yeah TV show? It's a weekly visit to some of my past Cars Yeah podcast guests, and I take you along for the ride. You go behind the garage door and into their lives, their businesses, and you get to see what makes them successful. With tens of millions of viewers, Cars Yeah TV is making its mark. Cars Yeah TV is available on MAV TV and Lucas Oil Racing TV. You'll find MAV TV on Direct TV, Fubo TV, Fios by Verizon, or you can stream it through Lucas Oil Racing Television online. And they said I only had a face for podcasting.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.